What is the biggest mistake brands take when building out a campaign plan, including their creative and advertising?
Very good question. The biggest mistake that brands make when building out their campaign plan. I think from my experience being in marketing teams and seeing how the creative agencies work, often the biggest brands and the biggest creative agencies and media have the most amount of research available to them. And so unlike a lot of mid-tier or smaller brands that are starved of research or are using research and insights from 2, 3, 4 years ago, these big brands often have such a plethora of insights. And maybe at the start, the brief includes that, but by the time we actually get to the filter down approved ad, we're so far away from communicating something that's actually relevant for their target customer or their end customer. We end up designing something that feels creative, or that's something that the marketing team likes or the agency likes. And they may not be the demographic, or they're definitely not going to be the bulk of the demographic. And so I would say the biggest mistake is not leaning into who you were trying to speak to. The analogy I've given a lot is sitting in brand strategy sessions, and often a question comes up and says, "Oh, if our brand had a party, who would we invite and what?" And it's all about the brand. And I actually think there's a step that it gets missed when we then get to campaigns or positioning, which is if your brand was invited to a party, who would it be? Whose party is it? Because in the end of the day, the campaign is sitting in the consumer's world. It's sitting in their feed. It's sitting in between the TV show or the BVOD or whatever they're trying to catch up and watch. So the biggest mistake I see is brands ignoring the environment in which the consumer is going to see that. And probably the underpinning of that is a full focus on designing a TV ad. Even when they say it's going to have a digital component and they're thinking through, oh, we've done a portrait, we put portrait lines on the camera screen, they're still designing with TV in mind.
There's two critical mistakes I think most brands make when it comes to building out campaign strategies. The first, I want to give an analogy. So maybe 6 or 7 years ago, when you're looking at website traffic, we switched over to being mobile first. So the majority of your website traffic came from mobile phones. Yet even today, 7 years later, you will often be working on a website build and it will be desktop first. And the question is going to be asked why. And the main reason is predominantly that's the way things have been done, as opposed to moving with the times. And advertising is a bit the same. So today, when campaigns are developed, they're largely developed with creative in mind for above the line and below the line channels, but predominantly not digital. And the assets that then get finalized for digital are filmed incorrectly, are the wrong aspect ratios, don't have the right subject matter for ad platforms to deliver it to the right people. And it should be a digital first strategy. So we figure out what assets are required, how they need to be filmed, how they are suitable for above the line and below the line offline media, and work at that direction. We're probably 5 years behind where campaigns need to be designed that way. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the fact that a lot of the times campaigns, as Chris was talking about, are designed for the advertiser. They're not designed for the end customer. And we're in a period from now that is effectively one where the customer wants brands to be talking to them about things that they are interested in. They just don't want to be broadcast about the brand. So messaging needs to be a lot more informative and interesting to the individual. That's not putting an ad saying, here's my product or my service, and giving some poor feature descriptions around why your brand. It's actually about getting them engaged and you're a subject matter expert on a particular topic. Talk to them about that subject, inform them, get them interested in understanding what you know when they're not in market. And then by the time they are, they'll start to consider your brand. And you can put those product and service things in front of them. But at the same token, you should be focusing on the benefit to the customer and not the feature of the product. It's a constant issue we see time and time again.